I hear Bill. I hear Bill. This.
If he's late, I'm taking him down.
Take him.
Right there. He's been there Charles for 30 minutes.
I got a minute.
Professional. That's professional. Way to make an appearance. As you tell me, I call you. As you have to tell me, I call you. You can call me back.
You call me?
Yeah. I was on the back phone. Yes. And he was been last week.
I ain't seen
Busy man.
I'd like to call to order our Monday, May the 2nd, 2022 Jones County Board of Education meeting. I'd like to thank all visitors and guests and all those watching virtually in attendance. Ms. Candace, please let the record show that we have a quorum of 5 board members present in the boardroom. Mr. Griffin, Mr. Walston, myself, Mr. Brown, and Ms. Fial. Also present in the boardroom, Superintendent Dr. Thigpen, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Bryce Marquis, and Board Attorney Mr. Schiff. At this time, I'll ask all those to stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll ask for the approval of our April 4th and April 25th minutes.
So move. I'll second.
Mr. Brown made a motion to approve. Mr. Walston second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. At this time, I'll ask for the approval of our board agenda.
I would suggest an amendment that the student recognition for 3B, that student could not be here, and so I would ask that be removed from the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Griffin made a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Ms. Fial second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. At this time, we'll move into our public comments.
There were no public comments submitted to Human Resources.
Okay, thank you. Moving right along into discussion items 3A, the introduction of Dr. J. Parker, Principal of Jones Senior High School.
Mr. Chairman and board members, I wanted to give you an opportunity to meet Dr. J. Parker. He comes to us. He began his career as a middle school science teacher and athletic coach. And he's worked in the central office as well as been a principal for several years. And he's here to give you a brief introduction and about himself. And he's been here with us about 6 weeks, and there are already some good things happening, and we're glad to have him. So we turn it over to him.
Good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for having me. Mr. Board Chair, Board of Education members. I first want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for entrusting me with Jones Senior High School. It has been nothing but a pleasure over these past 6 weeks getting to know the staff, the students, the community. I've had a chance to meet some of you. Not just as the building beautiful and technologically advanced in the 21st century, but the students have just been so impressive. Just you hear so much about how they're coming out of the pandemic and we have had to overcome this and that. These students act, okay. That's what happens when I go to church. And my wife was sick, I had to stay home. But the students are as witnessed by all these wonderful hosts of students here today. Dr. Dickens, I started off teaching middle school and coaching. Then I moved to Richmond, Virginia, where my wife was in medical school there, and coached high school ball and got my master's in ed leadership. Came back to Cumberland County Schools and worked as athletic director of the Southview High School, large 4 AA. And then my wife said I had to get married and come home to Dukeland, so that's how I got back in Dukeland and became a principal there. We have 3 beautiful children. Bella Peach is 10, Ireland is 7, and Richmond Henry is 5, going on 30. It's just a pleasure and honor to be here. And if there's any questions or comments you have for me, I'm glad to entertain them.
Yep. Glad to have you.
Again, thank you. And
Thank you, Dr. Walker. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Dr. Parker, you're over a large hurdle because Queenie Mae speaks highly of you, so you're on the way.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
You better,
It
because you
is.
make sure of that. It is a compliment.
Definitely a sounding board.
She cornered me up the other day, but go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
We'll move into item 3C, the CTE Spotlight Health Science.
Greetings to all. First and foremost, I would just like to acknowledge our board members, our superintendent, Dr. Cte, our human resource, Mr. Marquis, Dr. Lee, our amazing students, our parents, any faculty member, and anyone that's under the sound of my voice. I am Saddam Morrell, and I'm the health science teacher and also the host advisor. And I bring you greetings on behalf of our principal, Dr. Parker. It's an honor and a pleasure to stand before you guys today and recognize and to celebrate and to love on these amazing students that attended the HOSA State Leadership Conference on March 9th through the 12th in Greensboro. We were able to take 18 students with us to compete in various competitive events. And these events allow them to build up their confidence, allow them to become leaders in the school and leaders, in the community. And so these events are much needed. And so I'm glad that we have the opportunity to allow these students to participate in these events. While we were in Greensboro, there were over 2,000 students from across the state that participated in various competitive events. And Jones Senior was recognized for the following categories and were presented with a certificate on stage for the following. It was a Gold Star Chapter, Gold Star Advisor, and the Gold Star Chapter and Gold Star Advisor. We received that award because of these students, because of the events, because of the activities that they present and promote at Jones Senior, such as our blood drive, our Pink Day, and various other activities. So we're recognizing these students today and celebrating these students. We also was recognized for the blood drive connection and prevent blindness. We have students that have been credentialed and certified to be able to screen the elementary students. So they're able to collaborate with our school nurses, and they screen a large percentage of the elementary students and were presented with a certificate also at the conference. So I ask that you guys help me to congratulate these students as I call their names and they come forth to receive their certificates. And I want to end with this. This is my reason. This is my why for why I get up every morning with zeal and attend Jones Senior High School, because these are our futures. And our goal is to make them better and not bitter. So I celebrate you guys, and I say to you, just continue to be great, the leaders that you are. So as I call your name, if you come forward. And we will start with, now some of these individuals were not able to make it due to various activities at school. So I'm still gonna call the name. Johnny Martin, she participated in prepared speaking. Next we have Parker Murphy. He also participated in prepared speaking, and he was also recognized on the stage as our parade of flags were going forth. So Parker Murphy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we had 2 teams of Hostel Bowl that participated. Talia Ward is unable to be with us. Tadriana Booker is not here. Kaya Burton. Next, we have Hostel Bowl, Ceziah Cotton. And both these teams made it to round 2. Next Hostel Bowl team was Janiyah Martin, Azaria Jemison, Melanie Noriega, and Monica Tucker. Last but not least, the last competitive event was healthcare issues exam. And these students that I'm about to present with certificate and call out their names are also scheduled and eligible to compete at our International Leadership Conference, which will be held in Nashville, Tennessee on June 22nd through the 25th. And their names are Tadriana Booker, Raquel Collins, Madison Humphrey, Zyjayla Maddox,
Thank you.
Zakaria Morris. Thank you. And I will call out the following names that could not be with us tonight. Anaya McElroy, Talia Ward, Melanie Noriega, Janiyah Howard. Janiyah Howard is here with us. That's all right, thank you. And her mom. Isn't she here? Quite friend of hers is also here. Thank you. John A. Martin, Ayana Pegues, and Itzel Perez. Again, congratulations to all.
Very much, yes.
Are they going to Nashville or are you going to Nashville?
Yes, sir. We are going to
You
Nashville.
said they were eligible, so I didn't know whether that meant they were
Ultimately,
definitely
we
going.
are going to Nashville, Tennessee. Possibly your help.
Thank you for that, Ms. Dawn. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Mhm.
Real
Yes,
well.
ma'am.
Moving into item 3D, the CTE 2022-24.
Good evening, everyone. To the board, each year, every 2 years, we have to present about the comprehensive local needs assessment and how we will move forward with CTE. And these are just some action steps that we would like to take for the year 2022, 2024. And I will be submitting the comprehensive local needs assessment to all of you, but these are just the highlights that will be inside of the comprehensive local needs assessment. So the focus will be establishing an entrepreneurship academy, which will launch in August of 2022. Also, a Jones County Public Schools CTE countywide event, which we will, in that event, raise funds for our students who will be going on different trips as such, competitive events. Because of our budget and the size of our budget that we receive, we as a team just decided that there are ways that we as a CTE team should be able to also raise funds. So this is a countywide event where we will include elementary students to come out and we'll all come together and we'll market the CTE program, and the whole community or the whole county will be able to learn more about CTE from grades pre-K to 12th grade. And that should launch in fall of 2022. And also the 5th and 8th grade job shadowing explosion. in the state of North Carolina in March. It is called our Job Shadowing Month. And so we've never just targeted 5th and 8th graders with this. And so we plan on in March of 2022 and henceforth to make sure that the students get the opportunity to do job shadowing. And then next is teaching as a profession will launch in August of 2023. This will include Jones County Public School finally growing our own teachers. And we're looking forward to that. Also, one of the things on the list is to have an end of year Cte Banquet where we'll honor all students who obtain work-ready credentials and students who will be going to college in their chosen career pathway while attending high school. So this will be called our Work-Ready Reveal. We'll also invite business and industry and different stakeholders to this event, and this will occur each April or May. Also, and last but not least, is the NC Works collaboration with all seniors and juniors. The NC Works manager came out today, and she was very complimentary of the students at Jones Senior because those students already understood interviewing skills. They already know how to present, and she was very impressed with that. And so she wants to come out and make sure that our students are aware of what the NC Works website is all about and how to apply for jobs. And so she'll be coming out in this month of May and to visit with all the seniors so they can sign up to be a part beyond the NC Works network. So this is the action steps for the 2022-2024 CTE program. Do you have any questions?
I know.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving into item 3E, LETRS.
Good evening. It's kind of hard to follow after the kids, you know. Students are always the highlight. So I'm Janelle Edstrom, Educational Programs, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit tonight about a literacy initiative that's going to be taking place over the next 2 years. It'll begin in August when we come back to school. And I gave you a handout in your packet of PowerPoint, but I'm just going to go through some of the key points that was on the PowerPoint. Science of Reading, Senate Bill 387 is from the Excellent Public Schools Act of 2021 is basically a literacy bill. It has everything to do, and it's a K-12 literacy bill, but what we're going to be focusing on over the next 2 years is mainly K-5. And so what we are required with this literacy bill is to submit literacy plans that show annually to show what reading interventions and what reading camps we're going to provide to address these literacy requirements. Science of Reading is the focus of what we're going to be training our teachers in. And with Science of Reading, it's research on how the brain learns to read. It's not what is taught, but it's how it's taught. It's still going to build on the 5 components of reading that our teachers are used to and that they still do. It's not a fad. It's not just a phonics program. It's not a quick fix. It's going to take some time. And what it means for us is that all of our K-5 teachers, all of our principals, all of our pre-K teachers, all of our ELL teachers, which will be like Ms. Amandla, our exceptional children's teachers, and our instructional coaches all will be trained. So it is required, and even though it is a requirement, it couldn't really come at a better time after us coming in after the past few years of a pandemic. We know there were learning gaps, not just with us, but across the state. And it is a state mandate, but we have to look at it as the biggest professional development investment that the state of North Carolina has done for the schools. They are fully funding this, so it's no cost for us. We aren't going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're still going to be using our core reading materials that we use. The teachers are still going to have the flexibility to use the things that the resources and materials that they have. Letters is the PD that teaches them how to implement the science of reading. It is extensive, and we felt it was important to go ahead and share with all of our stakeholders, from our Board of Education members to our schools to our parents, so they know what we're going to be doing over the next 2 years. The next 2 years is going to consist of face-to-face trainings, online components, independent readings, and then a bridge where they're actually going to be putting practice into place in the classroom, the things that they're learning. One thing that we have vowed as a district is not to implement any new unnecessary initiatives for our elementary schools. They're going to have enough to do with this work that they're going to be doing. We will continue to support our teachers by scheduling focus groups throughout the year so they can meet together and collaborate and work on this material. Our school calendar has almost a work day every month, and it was strategically planned that way so that it gives them the opportunity to either have the professional development or have extra time so they can work on some of these, the work that they need. Our commitment is to make this as stress-free and productive as possible. But tonight, I just wanted you to be aware of what we will be starting in August, and that we'll be doing over the next 2 years. Are there any questions?
Best part's the state funding, right?
Yes, that's paying for all of it, that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Give them a minute.
Thank you.
We will move into our item 3F, spring PLS update, first reading.
Good evening, board. Present to you the first reading of the spring PLS update. There are over 40 updates. We will have our second reading for review or approval on June 6th.
Okay. Any board discussion on the PLS update at this time?
Anything special we need to be paying attention to?
Just read very thoroughly. Make sure you read policies 4110. Also policies in regard to gender equity issues, 5240. So just read through that. So on June 6th, if we need to, specify, call and give us advice.
Yeah, and if you guys have any particular questions about any of those recommended changes, I'm happy to discuss.
What'd you say, the one was 524?
Yes, sir.
Do we need to critique any of them to our thing, in your opinion, to our district different than what it is?
As much as we, how about that, you do your research, and then on June 6th, you can bring that to the table.
But I'm asking you if you have any recommendations for us to consider.
Is there any in the chart that they include on the front? Is there anywhere on month they'll say where we have to make a choice?
It's a
I
couple
don't
of
know
them.
if I reviewed
It's
this.
a couple of them.
Yeah, on 5240, there's recommendations but not requirements,
Okay.
and that's the difference.
Yeah.
So Bill, Mr. Giffen, answer your question. Those would be the ones I'd look at specifically.
Any other discussion on the PLS update? Okay, well, we will move into item 3G, the budget report.
Union Board. As requested, this is your monthly budget report. If you have any questions, I would like to answer them. We did receive some of our planning allotments for our low wealth and our small county supplemental funding, which was 019 that we talked about last week. And that supplement did not increase, so we will have a shortage in that. PRC.
Were you expecting this increase?
That's an example I was gonna give Collins.
So we're already planning for it. Being we wasn't expecting it.
We have to agree. Have any questions?
Any questions on the budget report?
No red flags, nothing changed, a whole lot, everything, okay.
We'll run out of transportation money, but we expected that. So we have applied to use our extra funding to cover that. That approval has not come down yet, but hopefully today or tomorrow or Wednesday.
When did we run out approximately? I know you told us that, but
You have, at the end of the day on Friday, we had about $6,000 left. So you're gonna have to cover another purchase of fuel, May payroll, and June payroll, as of right now.
Let's make sure we make the payroll, let's just charge the fuel, see how it goes.
The auditors will make us look at it this year, so it's coming to 2022 way.
But you don't feel it's overspend a line item.
Beyond,
We won't overspend a line item.
beyond transportation, no. And right now, if the budget amendment gets approved, we won't overspend it at all, because we'll go ahead and move those expenditures over there.
But if it don't,
If it don't, we'll have to do budget amendments to move it around later. But beyond that, we're good on everything for right now.
thanks for being the bearer of bad news. Sorry you're in that, sorry you're in that position. The finance
person
lady.
is always the person who has
Yes,
to give bad news.
yes, sorry about it.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Item 3H, the facilities report.
I'm here to answer any questions you may have this afternoon. We don't have a lot to present other than kind of catch up to date on where we're at with some projects. We have going, the PD center over here, the sewer has been put in for it. Like all, we're waiting for the pump to come in for that. It's got the pump sewer from back to the front, and everything's in place with the exception of that. 4 months ago, I ordered a 3-phase meter base for that. It's scheduled to come in June before we have it set up as well. And there's a shortage on these meter bases no matter where you go. But hopefully that will be in. The last update I got was June. The football field, we did get a grant to upgrade the lights on the football field, $102,000, I believe is what it was. We'd already started the process of replacing service on that field. I ordered a 400 amp 48277 3-phase panel to upgrade that service. We had to upgrade due to the changes Duke Energy made at the other fields. That panel is scheduled to arrive 1st of June at this point in time. I've already got the CT cabinets and meters set up to come from Duke Energy. They'll supply CT cabinets, all that's in place, ready to go. At this point in time, we've already got the underground conduit running for that project as well over to the concession stand. And that's where we're gonna put that in place over there for that new service for that. Hopefully we've got through 2023 to upgrade the LED light on the football field. And what we proposed on that was changing the existing lighting out, the LED light, and adding 2 additional poles, center field, which should bring us up to the standards that are required by the association at this point in time. Any questions?
You know, I'm gonna ask. When is the baseball field?
We've already taken possession of the baseball field. They're going through a contract punch list at this point in time. Dr. Cte and myself and Mr. Evans going to walk through on April 14th. And I have a list of punch list items, if y'all would like to look at them, of which most have been taken care of at this point in time. The hydrant that was a concern has been raised, that's in place now. That was actually not on the punch list, that's something we had addressed before we done the walkthrough. The area out in the outfield where we had a leaking water head, that was replaced and taken care of as well on the baseball field. I did request that they had some additional infield stuff. They're getting 2 pallets of that's coming in tomorrow, and they're going to add some more of that to the infield on the baseball field. Most everything out there is ready to go. The sound system actually arrived last Friday for both fields. The sound system, rather than go through a change order to extend time one more time, I purchased a sound system for that softball, baseball field, which is Bluetooth capable from mic that you got remote on each field. It's a pretty nice setup. It's the system that we got for both fields are identical one to the other. They're rated for up to 400 fans is what they're rated for. So that's already the last thing to come in on that. The speakers come out of a different, but they've been shipped and they should be here this week as well. And I'll get that installed myself. It's the plan on that. It's pretty much a plug and play, so complicated. We will schedule a walkthrough to go over the scoreboard information with the coaches. It's pretty simple. Both of those are good and ready to go. Everything on the field is pretty much ready to go at this point in time. If you had an opportunity to look at it. There was concerns about putting some speed bumps down the road to the old ball fields, and Dr. Cte and I discussed that as well. And we also discussed maybe doing some changes out there at these fields to assist to kind of help all our facilities. What we've done in the past is we've actually taken a set of bleachers for the visiting team on the football field and moved bleachers in place on the baseball field every year since I've been here. And then, of course, once ball season comes in, then we move them back and forth. Since those fields in the back will more than likely become practice fields, we were proposing moving that fence line back on the baseball field, creating about 30 foot there to create a section for our visiting team for the football field. So we'll finally have bleachers in place for the visiting team. Another thing we looked at was actually putting a gate across that back road down there because we can limit access going back there because it'll become a practice field. And the parking lot on that side over there is designated for staff parking only. And as well as the visiting teams coming in on that side. So if we put a gate on that side, that'll eliminate a lot of traffic that's going back there on that side of the field. And what we intend on doing is taking and having a fence installed to kind of give you an idea from the corner of the softball field fence to extend it over to the football concession stand with a gate at that area right there. And that should make our our whole parking area for the sports complex will now become that parking area for the tennis courts. So anyone entering that complex in any direction should come through that gate and should take care of your ticket and collection problems. And we plan to put a shelter right there on that gate entering that area, and that'll become your sports complex for your football field, baseball, and softball field. So that should eliminate that issue that we have on the back side if everyone's agreed to doing that. That's the thoughts we had on that.
Where would the gate go on the new asphalt drive?
We're
those
hoping
houses?
the gate at the end of those houses down there is where I plan on putting that gate just before you get to the staff parking lot. We already have one gate in place. It's an old gate down there that probably needs to come out. But the new gate, I would actually put it almost probably 20 feet back from where the press box is for the new baseball field. At the end of that property, we definitely can't block the entrance to that property right there. But from that point forward, I don't think it'd be an issue. And all the lots we have for the entire school system use one key in all the coaches and staff. Another thing that I've done over there at the baseball field this week, is I having all that rekeyed the same as the high school gym. So we don't have keys upon keys upon keys upon keys. So now, once that's done, your coach's key will open that up, as well as the master key will open it on that side. The water's already in our name over there. I changed that over last week. And the power's in our name on that field as well now. So we pretty much taken possession of that field. Other than the punch list items, and as I said, there's about 6 of those left at this point. But the turfus was what I was having them actually add. And they're supposed to add 2 more pallets of turfus on the baseball field tomorrow. And I think that's on the third baseline. That's what I was having for that.
Middle school games. Are they gonna have to be in the backfield?
I guess that's up to the staff, where they want to have middle school games,
Oh, okay.
I guess.
I thought that would work. I had them back there too.
I mean, if
Don't
the,
sound like it though.
if the staff wants
It won't
to,
be the middle school field for game time than their field, dedicated field.
I guess it would be any way that they choose to use it. We're not gonna eliminate any ball fields in the back. We're just gonna try to improve on the football field was the main concern, because that's one of our big areas as well. To do that, we're gonna have to shorten the left field on the baseball field to make room for that.
Do we have middle school sports now for the baseball and softball?
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Well, are they not playing on them? I mean, I thought that was what the whole thing was.
Building the new field for the
I did.
What's that?
shared fields. I mean,
I did too.
if that was the case, we should have just improved the
Yeah, I mean,
that we got.
that's the whole, I mean, I thought that from day one, that it was middle school in the back, high school in the front.
Yeah.
well, if the middle schoolers have a ball game,
But
they get to go and play in the nice new field, while the high schoolers would go roll over and practice in the. I'm just thinking, I can see it from both sides. But there's 2 fields there.
Yeah, but I think the high school players would feel more comfortable understanding, I mean, getting a feel for the field too, because it's totally, they're designed different. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But I mean, even looking at the outfield, how the design is different.
I mean, that's what my thinking was from the start, that high school building that field, middle school building that. And then you got your chance to play on the high school field, and you got high school.
That's right. It's an incentive.
That's correct.
What, has anybody given a deadline or a time of when the fields will be turned over to be played on?
Well,
I'm assuming the sod's just about,
the sod probably needs to root in probably until first of the summer. It looks good out there right now, but it will stand up with traffic at this point in time. It's starting to root in good. I'd say early summer would be before I would get on, before I'd recommend it.
Do they fertilize it when they put that soil in there? And lime it? I mean, I never was going.
Actually, that soil was taken away, sifted and brought back. What they've done to the soil, I have no idea. Not to cut you off short, Billy, but I really don't know. I don't know if they put fertilizer lime. I would imagine they would have done whatever the soil called for. I certainly, if I was going to put that much sod out, I wouldn't take the chance of losing it because I need to put some lime or fertilizer, whatever the case may be. But to answer that, I do not know.
Well, it depends on the sod, because some grass doesn't take like nitrogen, just like centipede's a little bit different fertilization than it is Bermuda grass, totally different.
Right.
So it depends. I'd ask probably maybe Jacob Morgan to get their specialist or whatever, or some kind of turf management guy to know what we needed to do to begin with. You sure don't want to ruin a $3 million field because we didn't do something right with the grass.
Not to be in a hurry to get
Because
on
it was
it
all
either.
clay with just a little bit of topsoil put on top of it, wasn't it? Because didn't they remove basically
They put
everything?
about a foot of topsoil.
Yeah.
But there is definitely clay in there.
I wouldn't touch the sod for a year. That's Farrier's sod. That's my opinion. Ain't that right?
That's
I mean,
correct.
we go throw some fertilizer on it and it'd kill it.
It's warranted for a year.
Right. Let them have it. That's their song. That's my opinion.
Also, another thing that we've got in that field that you may not be aware of, we've got the water system set up sprinkled line out there, but that system that's put in has the capabilities to be expanded to all the other fields if you ever so choose to do that. The pressure's there and the hookups are there to do that. So if you do more fields and kind of give you an idea, I think it's taking 50 connections will be useful. And there's a relay pump in there to pick that up. But right now, we're not even have to use a relay pump because the water pressure is running by 80 PSI.
Is the speaker system you're looking at, is that external? They need to take it out every season?
The actual, it's actually a pretty neat system. It comes in a case that you can button up. They just sit on the desktop in the press boxes. The speakers are attached externally. So the speakers actually just plug in. Actually leave it in the press boxes. That's what you choose to do. It's a pretty nice system. But they're designed to stay in the press box. And the press boxes are climate controlled, so there shouldn't be any issues with it.
I got a question on keying the locks with everything and the coaches having the thing, and while we got the principal here, you know, the key people, who's a coach and who gets the keys? Are we talking about just head coaches? Or they gotta be school staff?
Here's what
I mean, because we've had so many coaches with keys.
We've rekeyed that high school gym 3 times since I've been here because of this. Originally, I controlled the keys. And the high school, I still control the keys on the high school. And I can tell you who has keys and who don't until you can get them a new key. The high school gym, the last principal requested I let him take care of the keys. And that was done. And I cut probably 50 keys total. I have no idea who they were issued to or who he issued them to.
How many keys?
50.
50 as in states.
Easily.
Good God.
Everybody has a key to that gym.
That's happened 3 times in the past.
But nobody can't get access because the Mino school board won't give them a key. Anyway, don't get me short.
Anyway, and the deal on that standard for prior to the keys, the only person you have that key cut is me. No one else can take that key and have anybody else make that key but me. So it depends on how you want to control those keys. I can have them cut one more time and change one more time. And limit access to everybody when you start from scratch again. But this will be the 4th time around.
I'll make a suggestion, we discuss this in closed session because it might involve personnel. Is that okay with you, Mr. Attorney?
Depends on what we're gonna be talking about, but
Yeah.
we'll see when we get there.
Good office, you can have a key box back in. That corner in my office, I'll be glad.
That's not the key box.
That's not the key box?
That's your key box. That was
No, that wasn't the problem with that.
That's not the key box for the school. The school was the keys that were issued through Metcom, which I control. That's in the room that's in the back. Keys you have in your office were issued to the last principal, and they do things like open cabinets and gymnasium and stuff and all that. And y'all were in charge of all that to take care of that, and I didn't get involved in that. So if you have a teacher that needs a key for a cabinet, she'll see you get that key for that cabinet, and hopefully they're still in that cabinet.
But the keys to access the gym and the building, you have, or you?
I have those. Yeah, I still control those.
The building out back of the old baseball field now, did you rekey it? Has it got the same, it had never been rekeyed
Yeah,
yet?
I don't have the key for that.
You still don't have, we discussed that 2 years ago. Well, who's got it? I mean, I know different ones has got it because we come out of a joint meeting before Shimada got on the board, and I was told by the general public, they had a key to it if I wanted to get in it.
Well, that building was controlled for first 6
Yeah,
years I was here, county rec department. And my understanding at that point in time was the county rec department owned that building until I started checking deeds. And the county rec department didn't own that building, they owned the track field at that point in time. But, anyway, no, we can have it rekeyed, that's not an issue, we can change a lot. But I don't think anyone uses it anymore but us.
No, but we're fixing to move into the middle school anyway. That old middle school as far as the people that were using that.
Yeah, I was over there a couple days ago, helping with some stuff, that's what they were saying as well.
All those bleachers set in stone for the baseball field.
Pardon?
It's already set in stone, and them bleachers are gonna be permanent on the baseball field.
You're talking about the new baseball field?
No, old
You're
baseball.
talking
field.
about suggestion?
I mean, is that permanent or just a thought?
It's a thought.
Okay.
Yes, what we were looking at to improve, to make your sports complex more flexible. Because in the past, the middle school and high school used the same fields for years to play on and practice on.
For all the years I was there.
Yeah, I mean, that was
Well, we had it over at the middle school for a little while.
But what we were looking at was trying to create a sports complex out here for you now,
Right.
instead of having separate entities for everything. And one of those is access from your parking lot to get to those back fields. If you set that parking lot up as your central location for everyone to come in, and hopefully you eliminate all that traffic off the back road. Everybody wants to park in the back, and that, it was just ideas that we were putting out there to try to improve the sports complex. And one of those deals that's always been an issue is your football. But I'm not doing that, that was just things we were looking at to improve the sports complex.
And you go get the handicap bleachers.
Pardon?
The handicap bleachers for the football field.
We're still in the process of putting a platform in for that, bleachers for that.
Where does the rec department fit with the new complex? Anybody thought
I
about
don't
that?
know if it's been discussed.
Are we
that much.
locking that field down for school use right now?
You're talking about for which school? What are you talking
The
about?
rec department.
You would have to go back and look and see what we agreed to in that contract.
Yeah.
The way it is the rec department comes second to whatever the athletic director principal allows us to do over there as far as the rec's concerned. The long-term things, we're hoping to put ball fields over there, for the ball fields used to be behind the middle school.
Right.
Is what we just, and things are looking up, but there's still some issues. They had somebody that are looking at.
We've, in the past for the rec, with the basketball gyms, for example, they wouldn't go into one gym, but we gave them access to another. In this case, we got two ball fields. Are they gonna have access to both?
It's only been mentioned if there was like a tournament,
They were trying to look at the tournaments and trying to be
to
able to
raise
draw
money,
something in here.
either schools or
But that was in the same thing with
the
the
gyms.
school thing. It wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily a rec thing. It was.
Yeah.
I think it's all right like it is from what I remember. I mean, because the school's gonna have the first say so, the AD and the principal.
That's
It's
correct.
the way it is. So if there's any kind of issues, they won't have it over there.
But we specifically called out a certain gymnasium in that.
We said to Harry Brown, but
I think they could use any gym though.
But we went back because we put David had a tournament over there not long ago at the high school gym.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple of reasons why they could have that, but we left it where they had to be school function, but the school was involved in it with the AD and with the principal being because they got advisors to the board. So they were considering that like a school function. Because it was still a school thing, because it was going to put David in a bind, and I think they ran it like it should have been ran. It should have been no issue. You haven't heard of any issues since we've had the new rec director, have you, Tim, with any kind of program? I know David's trying to run a first class thing.
Anytime there's any questions, David gives me a call them. We'll get out. So,
But Todd Seymour had been sat with us last week. We just had a meeting Friday.
Last Friday.
And he sat with us, and it was his first time, and there was, and so that's kind of how we were going, and because the school had to say so and it's sitting there as advisors, we felt like it was, we would let it go as long as not an issue. If we didn't have to change it because the school was involved, then we could cut it off if it became a problem right immediately without having that board act on it.
Okay. Just throwing it out there.
It's what we saw.
Yeah,
I mean that's the way it was. They had already set it up. It was already done, and David wasn't aware of the policy, the way it was with Jones County Schools. But he's interacting with the coaches and with the stuff, trying to make it all intermittent work, so he doesn't take away from our programs. Talking about the Jones County School programs with his programs, if that makes sense.
It goes through Coach Hampton and Coach Seymour, and of course
And or Dr. Parker
at this time.
Yeah.
As far as through the school,
Yeah,
they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and the meeting before that, we had Dr. Thigpen came in just to sit with the board because we were changing, because everything was kind of a change of command and change the situation. I asked him to come to meet the board. I think it was our April meeting or March, might have been a March meeting. April, one of those meetings, the meeting before this, and then he said that I think basically one of the two ADs would be sitting with us. More so because Dr. Parker was he told us at that meeting he would be concentrating more on academics than athletics, which when the ADs concentrate on that athletic part of it.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. But Dr. Parker's welcome to come and sit at any time with us too, to make sure everything's running like he wants to. That's where that stands for. That's the best way to explain it.
So the rec would have free reign to use either field, as long as we're not using it, and as long as.
Yeah, I think that's the way the agreement is anyway. As long as it's okay with the school, rec comes second on everything.
Shouldn't be used probably as a practice field or anything like that. No.
Bet
And
it
then
would.
that's up to, making sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, and David understands, because I know, because they're using.
That's all they do is practice.
I think they're using something.
That's all the rec is doing is practicing. They're playing. They're playing is new.
Yeah.
I realize that, I know.
Because I've actually had.
They're gonna go to the new.
There for those fields.
They should.
That's my
Utilizing those.
That's what I'm trying to.
Right, yeah. That's what I know they're doing policy.
That's
And I think they're doing something in Mason, what they should not.
That's what I'm trying
Aren't hitting T-ball or something, using some of the Mason fields or something?
I want to keep our fields pristine.
I know they're using policy, I don't know whether they're using.
We
it
use
or
Mason,
else.
yeah.
I'm completely lost tonight about what we're doing with the fields. I'm lost as of right now. If the high school I thought that was a practice facility for the high school and the middle school field, is what I thought we were doing, building a new field. But I'm not saying a whole lot until I hear from y'all.
Okay. I guess we'll continue on, and the rec would use any facility as the school sees fit.
I think it should be a special thing for them to use, like a tournament type thing. I mean, when I say tournament, well, you got teams coming in from several places.
I agree with that.
Not on a regular basis, in my opinion.
But we would have to amend our facilities agreement with the addition of the new ball field.
Yeah.
To
because
say exactly that.
Yes, because the whole time, never mind. We'll figure it out.
That's it. Because it was specifically called out for the different gyms. And this agreement was made prior to the ball fields being created. That's my point.
Well, I think the change of command everywhere is what caused an issue there.
You're right.
So if we can get back to the Harry Brown gym, if there is a tournament, that should be resolved.
Yeah, they just got jammed up and they didn't know nobody knew what to do. But I don't remember who was in, somebody was in charge.
I didn't know there was a tournament there, to be honest, at the high school.
Okay. Any other discussions on the ball field? I just have one more. Okay, I'm sorry. Well,
I just want to know, what's board's expectation on those fields, and we'll make it happen. If it's for middle school to play, everybody practices there, and the middle school plays there, that's what it'll be.
Dr. Parker, Myron can speak for the board, but in my opinion, we might need to discuss this amongst ourselves because I'm a bit confused myself right now as to what we've been saying all along. And I don't want to be wrong on this, and I don't want to tell you wrong tonight. So I would like to discuss it with the rest of the board before we, I would want that to happen as soon as possible.
That's a good way to put it.
Please.
And as far
Don't
as,
mean to put you in a bad spot.
I'm on with what the board tells me.
Yeah, okay.
And secondly, on the gym, Ms. Downs and I have been working out a schedule just for that gym, whether it be the rec or whoever. And we have some public calendar we have so everyone can see what's going on at that gym. I would glad to share that with the board too, if you'd like to. And with Dr. Thick and any other directors, Dr. Thomas Marquis. And part of the miscommunication, Ms. Downs came in January, I came in March, and since I've been there, Ms. Downs has been wonderful, and as far as I know, we work well together. So, but we want to take care of the facilities, but we also want to do a program, and that's why I want to read the top of that. Recreation, we don't have a JV program. Our middle school is our program, so we need our RIT to be our middle school program. Because we do want to expand our athletics to be as successful as we possibly can. So.
And I agree with that.
And
that's
every
why
word.
we can't be
I agree.
telling them no. I mean, that's why we can't tell the rec no on some things, because without the rec, we won't have no middle school or high school programs.
And we're trying to do little things different with PE and health next year, is making sure we expose our youngest kids as quick as possible. Because I'm a former coach, and I got 3 little ones. I want to match them, and I want all 541 of mine back, if possible.
Let me add one thing that I got you here, and you may not be aware, and you may be. Anytime we deviate from the schedule that I submitted for that gym over there, the heating and cooling on, I need to know, because the building's set up by first floor, that they actually shut the heating and cooling down on that.
Harry Brown or the
Harry Brown, for the entire school over there, is controlled off-site. So if you got a function you're having in the Harry Brown gym, or even if you're having SAT, anything you're having in that school that's going to deviate from your normal schedule, make sure that they send me an email so I can set it up so you got final control. I just didn't know if you were aware about that.
Thank you for that.
Kind of along those lines, just real quick, what's the schedule on the AC at the high school gym?
Well, we're trying to, we have extra funding to put that stuff in with, and those units over there, between the two, we have one that's operable. One has a compressor out, one has a acid condensing coil went out on the air conditioning side, and those are heat, there's not heat pumps over there, those are gas packs. And what I'm trying to do now is get these things arranged. Well, I want to try to get them replaced over the summer, was the goal I was looking for, so it's what I was shooting for to get it done. And we've got backed up with so many other things, I really hadn't got it like I need to. But the long story short, we're in the process of trying to get bids to get that stuff changed at this point in time. But I couldn't change them over the winter time because of the climate control in the gym itself. And hopefully the way they're set up, I'm gonna try to alternate when they do the change out on them, because I don't want to take both units off at one time and set both units back on and have downtime, because the floor can't stand that kind of humidity difference inside the gym itself.
But you got the parts.
Well, it's not a repair on that, it's a replacement. The carrier system, the one that they put in that, one actually has a blown condensing coil in it. And the unit itself, or the A's they are, they're just to purchase the aluminum coil that's in that unit. The coil was $5,000. That's before COVID. Compressor that's out in it, we replaced both the compressors in both those units. What we had about 5 years into that over there, we had a lightning strike on the gym. which got both compressors in both of those units and messed up a lot of electronics in the units itself. So we replaced 2 compressors at that point in time. And the bad thing about replacing compressors, and I don't have familiar with that, is once you have a burnout on the compressor, then you get acid in the line. And once that acid's in, no matter how well you clean it, you can't get it out. So my recommendation was to change those, and that's what that ESSER funding was set aside to do, was just change it. Because we're going to also upgrade the filtration system as well on that. But anyway, we replaced them one time, and I don't think we'll get longevity out of them to replace them again. And that compressor itself, for each one of those units, is around 6,000 pounds. So by the time I put a condensing coil and 2 compressors in the unit, I almost paid the cost of a new unit over there. And then the fireboxes on them now are almost, well, they're close to 12 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at the point in that on those fireboxes that's squirting natural gas, that they're starting to give issues on the burning side as well. So my recommendation was to change those things out. And that's what I'm trying to do as fast as I can.
Are the students able to hold PE class? Okay.
Yeah, what we have is one was out and I didn't have to work on them about a month ago, and they were both down. And when I went over there, I think Mr. Merle had an event there. I think it was a blood drive. Yeah. And when I went over there, I found out that they were both. Well, one was set up on heat and one was set up on cool. But when I got there, one was out, and it was a module had to be replaced in the unit. And on that top of the module, replaced the module. And it's back up and running, and it'll handle it. It'll take care of that gymnasium until you put a heat load on. And what I mean by a heat load, that gymnasium over there is rated for 1,000 people. That's without a stage. That's floor space. That's floor space and bleachers. The Harry Brown gymnasium is rated at 997 people with a stage in it. So once you take that stage and put it in the middle of the floor over there at the old gym, you lose about 200 seat capacity due to the stage being in the floor. So that's the difference in the 2 gyms seating capacities. But as long as you don't have that 500 people heat load, that unit maintains and does a good job. And I go by and check it weekly now just to make sure we're down. But my recommendation, and like I said, I've been doing my best to try to get those units replaced, and that's my goal, is to get those units replaced.
Okay.
But ESSER funding requires a bid, it requires 3 estimates, and I can tell you in this world, and you probably know as well as I do, it's tough to get people out and give estimates. It's just tough right now because everybody's stretched out so far. And I know it's going to be just like a supply chain issue. I don't have a supply chain issue over there, because I still get parts for those, but just like on the meter bases and things like that, they're not manufacturing all the parts. It's just tough to get them right now.
Are they still on top? One of them still on top of the gym?
They're all on top of the unit. You have a total of 5 units over there. And those main units are 22 units there.
Okay. Are we gonna have to approve money to have these changed out, or because it's just funded it's already where we don't have to do it?
Approved and in place.
We did.
Yeah. It's already
Depends on the size of the contract, and we might have to come back to you for approval. But yes, as a capital item in the ESSER funding.
We don't need to hold it up any longer than we have to.
Well, would a lightning strike go towards like an insurance situation?
That's been
And you said that was 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah.
That was from the first year I was here.
Yeah.
And we had a $5,000 deductible on our insurance, and it's still, as far as I know, still is today. It was cheaper for me to buy compressors because that's all I want to do anyway. I replaced the compressors at the point in time. Then it was to file a claim on our insurance because of the $5,000 deductible.
Okay.
And one of them had a leak or the rail before the building was over.
Well, the problem with that, on those units,
Yeah.
the reason, another reason I won't have it installed, the curbing on those units was installed improperly. And we've always had a problem with a leak up there.
Mhm.
We finally got to stop with enough putty. The curbing on the actual unit itself was not installed correctly.
But to answer your question, yes, the lightning strike will be covered if you have enough damage to it.
Sounds like it took down a whole unit,
Took down two.
but that was 5 years ago.
At least 5. Yeah, I think it has to.
All right, any other discussion on facilities? Tim, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Moving on to item 3I, the superintendent update.
Board members, I wanted to share with you the progress. You have a piece of paper down there that outlines the strategic plan. And the principals and myself, and as well as members of the community, have contributed to this, the development of the strategic plan. And I'm going to focus on the area. I'll highlight this on the goal, and along that piece of paper that you have, you'll see in the upper right hand where it talks about the WIGs or wildly important goals. And so those will be the main objectives of the strategic plan, is to increase the percentage of Jones County public school students who have had no discipline referrals, and will plug in the numbers in June to do that, to have a target for that. We want to increase Jones County Public Schools retention, plug in numbers for that, and that'll be in our leadership area. We want to increase daily average attendance for our students, and we'll plug in target numbers for that. And then our academic goals are to make sure that 90% of all of our students are at or above grade level proficiency, and 100% of our Jones County schools meet or exceed expected growth. So these are our goals over the next 5 years. If you will look, these are the steps that we'll be taking, the lead measures in order to get there. We will still work with that. And then at the bottom, you see action steps and activities. You know, when we ask principals and other members, what do we need to do to improve attendance, they have suggestions of steps that we need to take in order to get there. And so the good thing about it is, you know, this has been the work of, it's taken a long time to get, but you've had parents, students, community members, as well as your teachers and your principals contribute. And we've got everything in a, formatted in a way, and this was with help from Dr. Easton, that everything really fits on one page. We can see where we're going, and it'll give us a common document to refer to over the next 5 years. It will, the process with this will make sure that each August we give you kind of a yearly action plan on where we're going. And again, there'll be scoreboards related to each of the measures that we will populate each year once the data comes out. And then we also have discussed going around to each of our schools, like we did this past year, to give a general report to the public about how we're doing on our goals, and to interact and get feedback from our parents. And so I wanted to share that information with you. And then, by our June board meeting, should have everything finalized, except there may be some data we can't populate because we don't have scores back at the time that we could get it. So, any questions from any of y'all?
On the academics, it said 90% of Jones County public schools. Is that per school, or that Jones County public schools as a whole? Or?
Well, the goal would be over the 5-year period to get to the point where 90% of our students.
Yes, man. It's a student, not just school, it's student.
Right. Yeah. And so, that's kind of the 5-year plan, is to get to at least 90% proficient over the next 5 years.
Any other superintendent update?
No, that's the only thing I want to share this time.
All right. Any comments on the update? Moving into item 4A, action on whether to maintain or amend current Board of Education face covering policy. Is there anything new to add from anybody?
I have nothing. No, sir.
Entertain a motion.
So moved, leave it like it is.
Mr. Griffin made a motion to leave mask covering optional.
I second.
Let's see, y'all seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session for personnel reasons pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-31811, A1, 3, and 6.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Walson, second by Mr. Griffin. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0. We were in a closed session at this time.
Say that.